Hi, Leah.
Hi. We are pajama panting today.
Right? Flannel panting.
So,
Did you pre-wash your flannel?
I did.
You pre-wash your flannel. Pre-wash anything for clothes.
I pre-washed. I measured my measured my kids,
Okay.
and we've got all the tools you might need.
Pajama pants for kids. Look at the little ruffle on the bottom. Super cute. I don't think Eli would appreciate those, but I'm sure Sarah would.
She probably would.
Sarah's a girly girl. I like her. And this is the adult one. So Easy Pajama Pants, teens and adults. Extra small to triple extra L. Yay! And what size? Oh, and 18-inch dolls. Woohoo! For the little girls who have that. Ooh, sizes 5 to 14. There you go.
And the nice thing about 18-inch doll stuff is you usually cuts really well out of all the weird scraps you make.
Okay.
Out of making the daughter stuff.
Good to know.
So you don't really need more fabric.
Then you can have matching pants. Yeah, I bet you could scrape it out of the scraps.
Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I measured my kids. Sarah's the older one, and she's a little beanpole, and skinny, mini little waist and long legs. That's how I was growing up. So
Gotcha.
very, very different shaped kids. And we're gonna sew flannel PJs for her and knit PJs for him, because I did the opposite last time I did PJs.
Okay.
And when I was looking at...
It's got to be fair, Mom.
It's got to be fair. When I was looking at patterns, the knit pattern that I had that fit her so well last time, Eli's actually outgrown it. So he's got enough through the waist and hips to warrant wearing a men's small.
What? He's not that big.
No, he's 7.
Alrighty.
He's 7. So that waist size of 28 to 30 inches in the men's small, hips 30 to 37 inches. Those match his sizes there. Unfortunately for him, he's 7, so he doesn't have a 30-inch inseam. We're going to have to shorten his pants. Make short, wide pants.
Everybody's... Who wants to be average?
Right?
Average is no fun.
Yeah.
I had to learn to sew in self-defense. How about you?
It's definitely helped knowing how to sew.
Right? Clothes didn't fit me when I was young.
Yeah. So my daughter, other completely different problem. Skinny. Her waist is somewhere 7/8 size. Hips, she is getting a little bit older. So probably large. And then inseam on this pant leg is 24 inches, and her inseam right now is 27.
Aww.
So I'm thinking we're gonna need to add about 4 inches to her legs.
Perfect.
So we're gonna take out 6 inches on the men's pattern and add 4.
You lost it here and you gained it there. It's okay. Or
Yeah.
you lose it here, gain it here. Either way, you're spending the same amount of money.
Right? but they're gonna fit for a while. So
Right? Well, you can roll stuff up. You can put elastics in them. So most people think pin tucks was just a Victorian embellishment.
well, they're brilliant for kids that are growing too fast.
Pin tucks in the legs, skirts, those things. You put more pin tucks in to shorten, and then we could all wear the same petticoat, same skirt. And then if I had to pass my skirt down and I was shorter than my sister, we'd let some of those pin tucks out till everything fit. Brilliant.
Okay.
And they're a pretty detail.
Okay. So because I'm needing to make so many alterations to my kids' stuff, I don't cut into my tissue patterns.
That's just a waste of money.
Yeah, because then you lose all the bits for the other sizes when they grow.
It's efficient if you just cut out the pattern you want, but you still have to make the adjustments on there.
Yeah. So let's go. I don't know if I heated the iron. Maybe. It'll warm up fast enough for what I need this for. When these come out of the envelope, usually they're not super flat. I have the flannel, the Sarah pattern, where we're gonna make a large and add 4 inches. So tissue pattern's quite wrinkly. when they ship. It's much easier to trace all your bits and get all the appropriate measurements off of them when they're flat. So you can iron your paper patterns with a dry iron at a low temperature, and it'll take all those wonderful creases right out. These ones, when we trace this out, you'll want to make sure you're tracing the right size as you go. And there's important things like grain of fabric. We'll talk about that once we're on putting this on your fabric. And this is the magical line. Shorten or lengthen line. That's your best friend. And this pattern happens to have a detail where you can make shorts as well. So that's part there. And you can lengthen at the lower part of the leg as well. So there's options here, but you'll want to be consistent with fronts and backs on your pants. And pajama pants, 2 pieces for your pattern, a front and a back. Pretty straightforward and easy.
Don't grind or drag the iron, you'll tear your tissue. Make sure there's no water, that it's dry. Take all that weird creases out because they change the size of stuff.
And pajama pants are pretty forgiving.
Yeah, so if you're learning to sew clothing, pajama pants and that sort of thing, because there's a much lower...
There's lots of ease, that's the word for it.
Ease.
Can you explain that?
So ease. So if you measure around your rear end and it's 40 inches, your pants can't measure 40 inches because you can't actually get them on. And you certainly couldn't sit down in them.
Or bend over.
Yeah, you can't move. So ease is the extra that they put in clothes. So jeans have very little ease in them because we tend to wear them tight. But pajama pants, they're supposed to be loose and comfy, so the ease would be much higher. If I recall right, if you were trying to make something that fit nicely, 4 inches. So if your rear end measured around at 44 inches or 40 inches, your pants should measure flat at 44, or you can't actually move, breathe, sit.
Eat turkey dinner.
Oh, there's no turkey. That's what sweatpants are for. But jeans have, I think they minimized that to something like 2 or 3 inches of ease because we like them skin tight.
Yeah.
Until we grow up.
And then things like, I'm going to hike up my dress here for a second.
Ooh,
things like,
you got shorts on.
Things like active wear are actually smaller because they have negative ease.
Yeah, because they're supposed to stretch.
Yeah.
And then on your patterns, they tell you how much stretch to have in the fabric you have.
So, because I don't want to cut this apart, I'm going to trace it out onto
Patternies.
Patternies, or we're out of Patternies.
Tru-Grid, same thing.
But this happens to have grid lines, which is going to make it way easier to add all those inches.
Yeah. Patternies can be plain. Tru-Grid, this is the stuff you would buy when they used to send you those horrible little pictures and then say they would show a grid box and you'd have to trace in your imagination from the gridded picture to that stuff.
That sounds awful.
It was awful.
That sounds awful.
But this was in the days before photocopiers. Sometimes tracing on a dark surface, you don't see the lines through. Which way do you get to go?
Yeah. If I was at home, I'd have cans of soup.
Yeah, just use all the product.
Yeah.
So what Leah's referring to.
I need some pattern weights.
To have things weighted down so it doesn't move. You don't want to pin it because pins create a little hump no matter where you pin or how you pin. No one is so good that they can't avoid them. We can barely see through there, but there's maybe the grain line.
Yeah.
And if you get those right on top of each other, you don't have to trace that either. You can just put an arrow on your patternies. So, is this Sarah's or Eli's?
This is Sarah's, so we're going to lengthen.
So, do you have enough room down there to lengthen?
You don't.
Ah, I knew I was here for a reason today. Yeah, so just if Leah put the waist up there and then she had all the extra ease material down here, she could just lengthen the pattern, but because she's got the pattern in the other way, she has to make sure that down on the other end, the number of inches she needs to make Sarah's pajama pants is enough.
Okay, so I was tracing out the large, which is not the biggest one on here.
I use my rulers for weight too, because they're long and flat.
You can draw as you go. So length and shorten line. Would you split there's 2 length and shortened lines on this one.
Depends how tubular the pants are. So there's 2 places to shorten or lengthen here. So Leah's question is, should she use 1 or 2? Split the difference. It would depend. If they were really tapered, wide at top and narrow at bottom, it would be smart to split the length between the 2. But on the pajama pants,
We're pretty straight-legged, I think.
yeah, if they're fairly straight-legged, then it really doesn't matter. And the thigh, it'll give more room in the thigh if you do it up here.
That's what I was thinking.
And then given that Sarah's a little girl, and that's what girls know how to grow.
Especially if they're in my family. We're good at that.
Right? There's no such thing as average or normal. We are all distinctly individual, and that's a good thing. However, it does make buying clothes traumatic and making clothes a challenge, because you have to know when and where and how to adjust. So by tracing this pattern out, Leah can make multiple pants from this single pattern. So we're just tracing out the pattern. Leah's tracing the size large, and then there's a spot on most patterns that you use for lengthening, and that's right where Leah is now. So she's going to put a mark there, and then she's going to pull the pattern up or down. How many inches do you need to add?
I was going to add 4.
Add 4? Yeah, so now we just spread the pattern 4. Back in the day, they used to have you slash the pattern open and then tape in piece of paper the extra that you needed.
Where'd my line go? 4. And then we're going to get that line back up on that green line.
Yeah, so you can see this is where Leah traced the waist, and this curved line's the crotch, and she put that tracing line that we would normally split on, and then she under the ruler we'll just, there's the original line that she traced here, and she moved it down 4 boxes, which is the 4 inches, and then she's going to continue tracing the pants, and then
we're going to have to do some adjusting.
Yeah, so the crotch is here now, sorta, and here's the original crotch. So we'll have to use the curve to make better lines here. You just join them back up in a smooth manner. It's a bit of a free flow.
So moving 4 inches over here, I didn't really have to do any adjusting.
No, because that's a long, smooth taper, right?
Yeah.
So you can see it's slow taper.
Yeah.
But over here, the inside leg is a more severe taper. So Leah's down here is the bottom of the 4-inch lengthening. This is the top of the 4-inch lengthening. And then the thing on this pajama pant is this was a fairly straight angle, but a severe angle compared to this is a long, slow slope. So you go up to where you were here and make a new angular line that sort of incorporates the original beginning and the new bottom. You're just going to kind of split the difference, everyone, and come up with a new smooth line that marries into that long line down there. So we're going to ignore this angle here and keep this angle here and kind of split it in the middle.
And I'm going to do it with a straight ruler because I didn't bring a curve.
Well, it's a fairly straight line, and as we said, in pajamas, it's okay. Can get away with some stuff in pajamas. They're a good thing to practice on.
Yeah. And then any markings that were on the original pattern, you need to make sure get transferred. Things like notches. There's notes on here about waistband casing.
Yeah, unless you want to keep this out all day long.
It's super annoying.
So where's your grain line? You put that in there, and you did what I do. Little arrow, so we all know.
Yeah, which helps with directional fabric.
So sometimes there's shaping in the hems,
So
and
this flares out just a little bit right here.
And sometimes they would get really tapered and they wouldn't actually go over your foot. Some patterns, if this was a different cut and it was very rectangular all the way down, very tubular, you could totally add it just to the bottom. But when there's any shaping, it's just smarter to incorporate that into the shaping. So for all intents and purposes, the shape of this leg has not changed. We're adding it to the bottom would make them kind of like genie pants, tighter at the ankle and bigger in the thigh. If you continued with the taper down, which is what you should do, but it will change the ankle. So anything you need to make note of, write it on the pattern. You can write like the size.
I usually write the pattern number because I've got a whole bunch of these stashed at home. And I need to know what they fit before.
So yeah, so that's the original pattern, the original size plus 4 inches. And then the front, cut 2, only 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Oh. Normally clothes have 5/8, but a lot of stuff like pajama pants could be made on the serger, and with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, you can just serge these suckers together. You don't have to finish the edges and then sew.
Okay, so that's the first piece.
Front or back?
That was a front piece.
Front. Okay, we need a back, Leah.
So if you added the length in that top option the first time, you should add it in the same place on the second piece.
You can do whatever you want, just be consistent.
Yeah. This one has notches to mark. That helps differentiate the fronts and the backs on this pattern. So,
all right, so bigger curve here. Ooh, I don't think I have a curve open either, but so quite a bit of difference from where Leah's at down there to where we are up here. So we have to curve that in a little more artistically. Well, now we can show them what a flexible curve is for.
It's magic.
It's got a lot of stuff going on that we don't need for today, but it has measurements in inches and metric, in centimeters, in case you need a 3-inch curve or something, but it's flexible. So what we get to do is we can put it on the top up here and then make a nice soft curve like the original using the ruler, the flexible curve. You want me to hold that end?
Yeah.
And then you can make a beautiful curve that you couldn't have done with the ruler. So nice, right?
I'm pretty happy with that. Use that in there a little. That was pretty slick. Slick and painless.
Okay, you guys. So I think we're at the end of lesson 2, because yesterday was what you need to grab and get ready to go.
And we probably might even pin it and sew it tomorrow. I don't know how long it's going to take.
We'll
This
see.
took way longer than I thought it would.
So, tracing out a pattern with a length adjustment that we lengthened, and maybe we can talk you through it in a brief version for how to shorten it. When do you want to do Eli's? Next week?
Maybe.
Okay.
It's very similar, but you curve different because they get shorter.
Right. Okay, we'll play with that on another day. So there you go, guys. Alrighty, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And
We're gonna cut some flannel tomorrow.
so thanks, everyone. We'll see you, tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Same time, same place?
Same project.
Same bat cave. See you tomorrow.